Welcome to Wish I Had Known, the show where hindsight meets insight. Host Jody Lamb has worn many hats in the world of finance, from navigating the intricacies of financial planning to unraveling the mysteries of insurance claims and diving deep into the realm of structured settlements. Each episode explores the topics that make you say, if only I had known this sooner. Join the conversation as we uncover the insights that can make all the difference. This is Wish I Had Known, because knowledge is power and hindsight is 2020.
Welcome to Jody's One Question series, where we talk about one question or one topic you want to know about. Today we're joined with Christine Zharova. She is a seasoned attorney with a diverse legal background. Christine brings over 15 years of litigation experience to the table. She specializes in defending physicians, medical practices, and hospitals in complex cases ranging from medical malpractice to business disputes. Welcome, Christine.
Hi, Jody. Very nice I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So are you ready for your one question?
Yes, fire away.
Oh, excellent. All right. So can you tell me what is going on with the changes in healthcare and how is this impacting individuals, businesses, and physicians?
There's a lot that is changing in healthcare. I can speak from the perspective of patients and I can speak from the perspective of physicians. I speak with a lot of physicians about their issues and their struggles. I work with a lot of physicians and their groups in, like you said, litigation. Most of my practice currently is focused on contractual business disputes, but there are a lot of cases that I handle that involved contractual disputes involving physicians. What I'm seeing a lot from the physician perspective is the burnout that they face from the traditional practice of medicine. That has definitely driven a lot of them to start their own practices, their own direct care practices, their own concierge practices. And from the patient perspective, what I'm also seeing is patients being driven to join those practices, to go to a physician that provides concierge services or go to a physician that provides direct care services. And they do that because, as we all know, right, a lot of times you go to the physician, to your doctor, and they're in and out. You've got 2 minutes with them. You don't feel like you really have that one-to-one connection, that time with them. And I mean, as patients, I think we all want more time. We all want better care. We all want to have the ability to have a conversation with our physicians where we don't feel rushed, where we don't feel like we're imposing on them. And so from the patient perspective, a lot of them are going towards direct care practices to get that additional level of service.
I'd not heard of concierge service before recently. Can you elaborate on that, what that is?
Sure. Concierge services is basically when the physician, strike that. Concierge practices are for physician groups that will charge their patient an annual fee a lot of the time. They have much less patients. They don't take on a full patient load like they would in a regular practice of medicine that takes insurance. They do not take insurance, and depending on how it's structured, physicians may also charge you a fee for your visit. However, that physician is available to you a lot of times after hours, on weekends, and once again is able to provide a connection and build a relationship and give you the time that you need in order to discuss whatever concerns you and really address your needs.
So this doesn't replace traditional healthcare insurance, but if one was interested in complementing their existing insurance with a concierge service, what does that look like?
So absolutely. Concierge practices and direct care practices do not replace your insurance. In fact, a lot of the physicians in their contracts with the patients are very specific that the patient still has an obligation to maintain their health insurance for, when you're going to the hospital, if you need procedures, if you need surgery, things like that. So that remains there. It's just basically an additional level of service that the patient is willing to pay for in order to be given that extra time and attention. Typically, concierge practices are more on the expensive side. Not everybody, not every practice, but a lot of them are. But your direct care practices, are practices where a physician may charge you $50, $75, $100 a month. They may charge an additional cost when you see them, but it's not significant. It's not very expensive. It's usually below that fee. And the patient not only gets the benefit of having that additional time with the physician, but the physician is also able to pass on the savings for labs, right? If you and I go to the doctor and we get our labs done, it's like $1,000 bill, your insurance pays $500, and then you're stuck with $500. A lot of times, because of the way that physicians structure it and the networks they join, they're able to significantly reduce the cost of labs, the cost of diagnostic studies, down to like $20. So there's a huge benefit that patients are seeing. They may be paying an additional cost for a monthly fee, but they're saving significantly on other services like labs and diagnostic studies.
Okay, so I've had no shortage of medical treatment in the past. I've had chronic back issues. I've had a recent experience where insurance was dictating care, and I got to the point where, like, I don't care what this costs. I want to have this diagnostic imaging done or this follow-up appointment to be done because something's not right, and we were waiting for insurance to approve it, which was crazy. I find that insurance is often dictating patient care. Is that something that physicians feel as well, or is it just one-sided where the patients are the ones struggling?
I think you hit it spot on, Jody. Absolutely. It's felt by both the physicians and the patients. From the physician's perspective, you have to imagine the overhead costs associated with fighting insurance to get approvals for certain procedures or medical treatment to getting paid, right? They spend so much money on those overhead costs. And it's also frustrating for them because they're the provider, they're the practitioner, they're the ones that went to medical school. And if they believe that it's in the best interest of the patient to have a certain treatment or diagnostic study, it's very frustrating for many of them to have that be denied and rejected by an insurance carrier, which is not in the practice of medicine, right? A lot of physicians enter the practice of medicine because they care and they want to help. So that also contributes to the significant stress that they feel, and the burnout contributes to the burnout that they experience. From the patient perspective, as you know, it's highly frustrating when you're in pain, you feel like you need to get it resolved, worked up, your physician agrees with you and creates a plan of care and believes that some diagnostic study is going to help him or her diagnose what's going on with you, right? And then that request is denied by the insurance carrier. Oftentimes it feels like very arbitrary. And that's one of the reasons why patients will seek concierge services, direct care services, and also I forgot to add specialty care services. So you have direct care practitioner, which are your internists, your primary care physicians, and then you have specialty care services where specialists like podiatrists, pain management physicians, will create their own specialty care practices to provide you with that specific care on a cash pay basis.
So for the physicians looking to break the mold and do that specialty practice, what's involved with that? And what usually triggers that decision is it the burnout? Is it the litigation? What is it that motivates physicians to make that change?
Yeah, there's so much of that. All of those things are huge factors in a physician's decision to leave the traditional practice of medicine and start their own practices. When I defended physicians in medical malpractice lawsuits, I saw the significant level of stress that litigation caused, just like I see it now with non-physicians going through business dispute, right? Litigation is extremely stressful. It is a very personal process, and that certainly contributes to the burnout. In addition to the long hours, the expectations, the electronic medical record keeping, the fighting with insurance carriers, oftentimes it culminates to the point where they don't want to practice. They don't want to live like that anymore. And what I've seen from a lot of physicians, just in networking with physicians, a lot of them find that entrepreneurship is one of the ways that they break out of that burnout. And a lot of them, they start their own direct care practices, specialty practices, or go a completely different route. And so it's definitely a combination of all those things that you discussed that get them to the point where they're like, you know what, enough is enough. I want something different from life, and they start practices.
So what was their first step? What do physicians do that want to make that change for a positive work-life balance, to get the reward for the service that they've done in a way that feels meaningful to them, that they get to make their own decisions in their practice? Who do they contact to make those changes?
My recommendation is to really have a good business plan, maybe speak with a financial advisor to make sure you're set up for that, and have a business plan in terms of identifying and understanding where you're going to get your patients, right? You don't want to quit your traditional practice of medicine, leave a hospital, leave your group, and start something and not have any patients for a year, because that's only going to add to the burnout and the stress. So definitely have a business plan in place. Talk to your financial advisor to make sure your ducks are in a row, and then seek an attorney's assistance to make sure you're complying with your state's regulations, any applicable federal regulations, to create your own practice. That would be, I guess, those are the top three things that I think the physicians should start with.
Christine, why would someone need to reach out to you in this healthcare evaluation, in the litigation process, in their expertise of business?
So physicians reach out to me if they're going through either a business dispute, or, if they're in an employment contract and they leave that employer and the employer is suing them. So I do represent a lot of physicians in claims against them for breach of their restrictive covenants, which is basically breach of non-competes. So we do provide those services at the firm that I'm currently in. And then I also, physicians reach out to me that want to start their direct care practices, their specialty care practices, their concierge practices, along with, right now I'm helping a non-healthcare practitioner start a multi-state telehealth practice, and that's been really interesting and rewarding. So we're seeing a lot of, non-traditional ways to provide services. And this specific telehealth practice is also going to be a cash pay service. So, there's definitely a trend towards that. And I think that it provides physicians an alternative way to practice medicine and takes them back to the roots of why, the roots of why they entered into the practice of medicine to begin with. It gives them that time with patients. They feel better because they feel like they're not in a rush. They're not, spending half of their day fighting with insurance companies, and they can take less patients and still make the same amount of money or more.
I think post-COVID, everybody has a whole new appreciation for the stress and the burnout that we see in our physicians. Mm-hmm. Christine, this has been extremely informational. If we have physicians, if we have people in our network who need to reach out to you, where do we find you?
Absolutely. So I work at a great firm. It's Bird Campbell, B-Y-R-D, Campbell, C-A-M-P-B-E-L-L, like Campbell Soup. We're in Winter Park, Florida, and I'm happy to reach out. You could reach out to me through LinkedIn to connect. That's where I'm most active in, or through the firm.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is another fascinating conversation about learning things that we may not typically have a conversation on, but potentially really need to know. Myself, the concierge service is a great way to supplement the current insurance plan that I have. I have a super high deductible, so to be able to have access to a physician and not get nickel and dimed on every single test and the exorbitant cost, I think that impacts just the regular John and Jane on the street who could definitely explore those options for their own personal healthcare needs. Thank you so much for sharing this information with us, and for the physicians that are looking to step out and try something new, and to combat burnout and to really maximize their happiness in their chosen profession. Obviously, you do a lot of great work for them. So thank you for your time and your service. This is another wrap to the series, questions of what one question, one topic we need to know. Thank you so much for joining us, Christine.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe so you can hear all of Jody's chats, so you don't have to say, "Wish I had known."